Is everyone ready for some absolutely grade A, unmatched Bethesda and Starfield fanboy coping?
Alright, so yes, Todd Howard is at it again, providing some new updates
Of
about
course
all
he
things
is.
Starfield. Today, we've got some new comments about future updates
Okay.
and, yes, how Starfield was built with big expansions and updates in mind. Now, we're also going to be talking about how crucial the
Expansions with more loading screens, I presume. Expansions with still zero melee weapons or a functional talent point tree.
modding community is to the future of this game. Plus, Bethesda
Mm-hmm.
calls out over-encumbered hoarders, which ignited an entire discussion around inventory management. And
It's
Cyberpunk
bad.
Phantom Liberty has stirred up some interesting discussions around one of Starfield's biggest features. Will Bethesda take notes here and implement this in the future, or
Correction. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, or 2.0 even, has absolutely destroyed Starfield. There is almost nothing left of this game at the moment. Everyone who wanted to play this and is disappointed is currently playing Cyberpunk and is having an absolute great time. Because Cyberpunk, now, is a good game. Starfield is not a game even. It's a loading screen simulator with bad combat, bad roleplay, bad story, bad traveling, bad exploration, and, well, everything bad essentially. And I wish I was kidding. Hey, I also wish I was just a random hater who hates this game for no reason. But I played this game. And this is probably the only Bethesda game I will most likely never install again and play. And I love Fallout. I love as well. I love especially Fallout. And Skyrim is pretty okay. I wouldn't call it a great game, but Skyrim's at least an okay game. At least it's playable. I had 50 hours in that.
keep trekking on the same path? And after 500 hours of playtime, you've got to hear this about Starfield. It's not what you think. Trust me, it's definitely worth a listen. And what can Bethesda realistically improve through DLC? Well, we've definitely got to talk about that one as well. And by the way, if you're new, welcome aboard. Smack that subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification icon so you never miss another update. But yeah, let's get into the first headline right here, which says this. More than Skyrim or Fallout, Todd Howard says Starfield was intentionally made to be played for a long time, and Bethesda's looking 5 years ahead. So yeah.
Dude, you gotta love Todd's lies. This is, by the way, a blatant lie. He's just saying that because most other Bethesda games are way better and they are being played by extremely loyal, dedicated fanboys for many years. If you look at Skyrim now, it probably has 20k players on Steam. Well, admittedly, all of them have modded the game to, not being Skyrim anymore at this point. But, at least they're playing. So, it's an easy lie to pull off at Starfield.
Yeah, let's dive into what was said here. So, here we go. It says, even a game like Skyrim, which, if you look at it at launch, was still a really big game. If you look at it today with add-ons and mods, it's a much bigger game. It's still a game that's played 12 years later in large numbers for us. I think if you look at your audience, they get used to a game and they usually want to +1 it. They want to add X, Y, and Z, and the developers, we usually do add.
Nope, that's a double lie. Bethesda as developers don't update their games. And the people who want to actually use add-ons are an absolute ultra minority. Best case scenario, 2% of the player base maybe will buy an add-on. Ever. Well, even think about getting the add-on. It's not even close. If you're going to say, add-ons are going to fix the game, you're lying. You're effectively lying, honestly, because no one is going to download an add-on. Maybe they do, and guess what? The add-on probably doesn't work and they just give up on the game. Or maybe they download one add-on, it works, then they download the second add-on, and guess what? The game doesn't even launch anymore. And maybe they're like the majority of people who are not savvy in computer code and shit, so they can't fix it.
As well. This comes from Todd Howard, by the way. Now, Howard reiterates what Bethesda's teased in previous Starfield updates. The studio is actively looking to polish and add features in response to players' feedbacks, but even compared to Skyrim's legendary long tail, Howard says Bethesda is in it for the long haul with Starfield, both with updates and mod support. This is great to hear. They're not going to just drop the game. Of course, we have been seeing...
They're not going to drop the game. They're going to drop a couple of remasters. You know, they're going to drop an expansion next year, which is probably going to be as generic trash as it is. What's the name of the expansion? I forgot. Shattered Stars or something like that. It's just a generic, save the universe champion type of deal. So, you know, that's going to be boring.
I would say some hate for Starfield recently just because of games that are kind of crowded around its release. That it, of course, includes Baldur's Gate 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. I myself am, guess what, enjoying the hell out of all.
That's strange. There is absolutely no hate for Baldur's Gate 3 or Cyberpunk 2077 currently. But there is for Starfield. Man, I wonder how that happens. Wow, we got a real puzzle on our hands, boys. How... What injustice, honestly, right?
3 games, but yeah, to each their own. Now, next up we have this one right here. This is a game, and it's intentionally made to be played for a long time. One of the things we've learned from our previous games, from Skyrim and from Fallout, is that people want to play them for a very long time. So Starfield, I would say, was the most intentional going into it, that this is a game people are going to play for a long time. How do we...
They learned nothing from the old games. The dialogues are worse. The inventory management is abysmal. It's just 2 steps back in every possible aspect.
Build it such that it is allowing that in a way that feels natural. And if people have played the game and finished the main quest, you can see that. I think beyond the main quest, for me, what's most fascinating about Starfield is that I want to do a lot of the faction quests and everything outside of the main quest. But yeah, let me know if you guys are more interested in things like New Game Plus, the main quest line, that sort of thing, or if you prefer them like adding more.
Okay, a little bit about the New Game Plus. The New Game Plus is stupid. There's absolutely no reason to add a New Game Plus to a game like Starfield, to games like Fallout or even Skyrim, because what New Game Plus does is just it resets the game. You can skip the main story, and you keep your perks, not your weapons and stuff. How does that make sense? I don't know. But effectively, what happens? Nothing. Nothing really changes. You just lose a bunch of stuff, and you keep skills. Effectively, it's technically worse than just starting a new character with a new style of playthrough. Also, the New Game Plus in Starfield really rams home the feeling that none of your choices mattered in the game. Because they don't. It's just a fresh start, a fresh reset. Do whatever you want.
More factions in the game, more faction quest lines. That's the sort of thing that I'm interested in now. Says, but it's also one where, okay, what does Starfield look like in 3 months? What does it look like in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years? We've learned that that's going to happen, so let's be ready for it, make the most of it, and embrace it. That's both what we do here and with our modding community. We've learned so much there, giving ourselves a really good base of a game to build upon for everybody. I love that they're so in tune to the modding scene as well. We are going to be getting that creation kit 2.0. We're seeing amazing stuff now. Wait until that creation kit comes out. It's going to be absolutely insane. But yeah, it looks like they're working directly with the modding community as
the creation kit is probably going to be just a way to make for Bethesda to make money. We all know this. They already tried it, and I want to see what happens.
Well, so that's good news going forward for the future. Then we have this question right here, and I've got to hand it all to you. Check it out right here. It says, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely is it that you would buy a DLC for this game? So yeah, if there's a full-blown expansion based on your experience so far, would...
I'm not kidding, by the way. I'm never installing Starfield again. It's just, there's nothing in this game that's worth it.
You actually lay down the money for an expansion, for DLC, for Starfield? Sound off Also, we have this headline right here as well. Todd Howard calls out encumbered Starfield hoarders. No, you don't need the trays and the pencils. And this, boy.
If you don't need the trays and pencils, Howard, why the fuck did you add them? Why? Why did you add all that useless junk in the game if it's not necessary?
Really stirred up quite the conversation here, so let's get into it. It says, it's about prioritizing player freedom in terms of where you can go, what you can do. Howard says, it seems like people hit this every time they play one of our new games, picking up all the stuff. They immediately get encumbered. No, you don't need the trays and the pencils, but we like that you can pick them up. Yeah, it definitely makes me wonder though. I personally think this, and let me know if you agree. So when you activate your scanner in Starfield and it highlights all of the outlines in blue of all the items that you can pick up, I personally think you should be able to really prioritize and select from the scanner what highlights in blue. So the most important necessary items. Oh, that grenade's going to go all sorts of wrong there. But yeah, those sorts of items I think need to be priority on your scanner. Perhaps even in red, your scanner knows, oh, hey, this is an extremely critical thing for you going forward. It's going to actually increase your skills. It's like a book that you can actually read. And you can see that clearly.
Okay. So the books are the only thing that kind of matters, but do they even really matter? I never was excited to level up in Starfield. I'm not gonna lie. I had never... in Fallout, when you were super excited to level up, or when in Skyrim it was like a happy surprise that you leveled up. Yeah, in this game I don't give a shit if I level up. It just feels bad. It feels like nothing. What am I gonna do? Not pick the thing I want because it's still locked behind a random, oh, do this 20 more times shit? Or will I put it in something that I even don't care about? Or something that's bugged? Leveling up has never felt worse than it has in Starfield.
On your scanner, or upgrade your scanner to actually have that as a possibility. I think that would be very, very cool. And in my opinion, necessary, because there is so much clutter. I love that they actually hired one of the modders from previous games to work on the clutter for this game, but to have it all highlightable by the scanner is just why? There's so much here, I just need to know the important bits. Now,
the reality is you can just play this game without the scanner, and the only thing you need to loot is the giant crates with weapons and enemy corpses. That's it. That's it. Do that and you're fine. You're not missing anything.
Mentioning that, it goes on to say this right here. With that comment, Todd has ignited open warfare in the Games Radar Plus chat. Everything I've been weighed down by has a function. There's just too much of it, and the game's bad at signposting that's actually helpful. Guys writer Joel argues, I'm scraping casing off the walls because I'm worried I'll need it later. What I needed was somebody...
Not helpful? What do you... What do you mean not helpful? Is it not helpful that you can't see your own weight when you're looting something? Because, again, when you're looting something, when you're looting a dead pirate, you know what you see? You see his body's weight for some stupid reason. So you have no idea if you're going to be over encumbered if you loot that thing, because you can't see your own weight. That's just one of the great perks of this game.
To just say,
oh, absolutely no loot management system. Bad inventory in general. Man, where do I even stop in this situation?
I wouldn't worry about it, mate. Yeah, I feel like there's also not enough signaling in the inventory telling you, hey, this is clearly junk. Don't worry about it. I love when games have little icons or messaging that says, hey, you can go to any vendor and just sell this freely. It's junk. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Just sell it. That sort of thing, I think, would be really...
Imagine making... Dude, that is one of the highest levels of cope, honestly. Imagine. You make a game that you flood with useless shit, and people are like, well, I wish this useless piece of garbage had an actual tag next to it which said useless piece of garbage. Yeah, imagine not complaining about the game is full of useless shit, and if you remove the useless shit, there's 3 things that you can pick up in this game, but instead saying, oh, Todd, listen, we need tags, okay? We need tags. We need tags that differentiate the useless garbage from the not useless garbage. Now, the funniest part about all of this is, obviously, if Bethesda, for some miracle of a reason, would listen to this stupid advice, they would probably mess it up. They would probably label useless garbage as important, and then the important stuff is useless. 100%.
Really helpful to Starfield, and I think they should add that in future updates. And yeah, I imagine modders will, or already have, done the same thing. Now, next up, we have this one right here. Love Starfield, but replaying Cyberpunk 2077 is eye-opening. Oh boy, here we go, this discussion again. But yeah, has some good points here. 6,100 upvotes, so a lot of people agree with this one for sure. It says, after spending a couple hundred hours on Starfield, I can honestly say that I love this game despite the fact that it falls short in some areas. Even as I played it...
Some? In which areas doesn't it fall short?
I could recognize the Bethesda game...
A space exploration game without space exploration. A looter simulator without looting. A shooter without really any good shooting mechanics. The shooting mechanics are honestly absolutely abysmal. Your shots are going to miss in the wildest situations, and then they're going to get clipped on things that don't even exist. It's going to be absolutely tragic. There is no balancing. A roleplay game without any role-playing possibilities, because again, this thing was written by 10-year-olds, it seems like. Where there's the evil people are comically and stupidly evil, and you sometimes don't even have a choice between good or bad. It is absolutely unbearable.
Template underneath it all, but I accepted those old methodologies because I love the game for what it is. Going back to playing Cyberpunk 2077 now makes me realize how antiquated some of the technology is with Starfield. Take dialogue scenes, for example. In Starfield, you could see how the NPCs change from their current animation into this face-on, eyes-locked mode, where you might as well be speaking to a mannequin. In Cyberpunk, however, NPCs notice you, approaching you, and seamlessly engaging in dialogue, even as they continue to perform other tasks like eating, smoking, etc. That is one thing I did want to comment on. With Cyberpunk NPCs, what I'm so impressed by is their variation in their movement. So when you are actually talking from NPC to NPC, they're doing a wide variety of things when they are talking to you. I remember talking to one NPC. This was, of course, for story stuff.
Dude, look at this. It's just a bullet sponge.
And they ended up crawling over the bar.
And as per typical Starfield, he's using up all of his ammo.
So seamlessly and just walking out. And it's those simple little things that really impresses me. And also, I particularly love when games have it, when you interact with NPCs, they give you the option to sit down next to them, to really sit down with them. It really cements you in the scene. Now, furthermore,
You know what I like about Starfield versus Cyberpunk debate? It's the fact that some people are unironically going to tell you that Neon, Starfield's most colorful and amazing city that, you know, looks like a back alley, is comparable to Cyberpunk. Bro, the dumpster quality in Cyberpunk absolutely destroys anything that Neon has to offer. It's not even... Dude, if you want to find someone who's bad faith in these arguments, just ask them, is Neon better looking than Cyberpunk 2077? If they say yes, they are a full-blown, absolute 100% liar.
We have this right here. It says, I'm still trying to put a finger on what makes Cyberpunk so much more immersive. I think it's a combination of several things put together. A huge part is that all the events in the game, whether it's gameplay or cutscenes, are strictly from the player's point of view. And even in cutscenes, you can often still look around. As much as I enjoyed my time in Starfield, I'm finding that Cyberpunk has a lot more to offer.
How stupid do you need to be to honestly not understand what makes a difference? I don't understand these people. Do they not have inner monologues? What's the deal with them?
Even in the areas where the two games overlap. I know the theme and scope are not comparable, but there's a pretty big gap in depth and quality, among other things. What features from Cyberpunk would you wish to be integrated in Starfield? Actually, that's a great question. Sound off, everyone. But yeah, there's a great article that kind of attaches very nicely to what we just read there. Check it out here. It goes on to say the following. Cyberpunk 2077 figured out the secret ingredient to making talking fun, and I wish Starfield had copied it. So what is this secret?
It's good dialogue. That's not even a secret. It's just their dialogue doesn't sound like written by a 10-year-old idiot.
Ingredient they're referring to. So it goes on to say this right here. Dialogue prison, as they word it. Fascinating. So it says, CD Projekt's choice to let players roam during dialogue is a small detail, but I think it's actually the secret sauce that makes talking in Cyberpunk engaging, and why talking in Starfield is so stale by comparison. Having the freedom to pace around a room, read nearby text logs, loot, or selectively make eye contact with characters creates an extra layer of role-playing beyond dialogue choices themselves. Yeah, you know, I really do wish they would open it up to have this option in Starfield. There is a mod which doesn't zoom it in exactly, but it doesn't let you roam around freely. One thing that I do also appreciate Cyberpunk, which I think does a little bit better here, is the fact that you can see two characters engaging with each other close by, and that sometimes is not the case in Starfield. Now, sometimes it does happen where you do see them all meeting around the table, but I love to be able to see that, like, at all times, having that option to be able to see the entire conversation unfold. Who I'm looking at, it's just a nice freedom to have, and I think going forward, Bethesda should take notes here, especially when developing Elder Scrolls 6. Now, next up, we have this one right here. Most scenes let me keep my gun drawn at all times. A feature that
I love that every single fight we got seeing in this video is either it's a level 2 that gets deleted with 2 shots, or it's a bullet sponge that is taking all of his ammo. It's great. It's just great.
I use constantly when meeting Night City's many weirdos for the first time. Unlike so many big budget games that insist you see every detail of its expensive storytelling, Cyberpunk doesn't mind if I get distracted reading the labels of household products while Idris is explaining some important spy stuff. You can disengage from conversation just by walking away, or often choose to say nothing. It's cool to have agency not only in the dialogue, but in the pacing and even the cinematography of the scene.
Imagine having choices.
CD Projekt's freedom comes with its own hangups too. Positional dialogue isn't always consistent, resulting in some choices that you can only make while standing close and looking at other characters, and others that you can be anywhere for.
Well, yeah, that's kind of obvious. If you're not partaking in a conversation, how do you expect to do input in a conversation?
Now, these discrepancies create awkward pauses where I'm not sure why a conversation isn't progressing until I fiddle with my positioning and finally see the dialogue option. Annoying. So yeah, it does have its own caveats as well, but overall, I think both systems do work very nicely. It's just that I think that in Starfield, it's interesting discussion that perhaps with the expansion, they could open up some more freedoms in roaming around while dialogue is actually going on.
Obviously,
now,
no.
This one you have got to hear. Check it out. It says, after playing this game for 500 hours, I feel like I can safely say that there really isn't anything all that good about this game. Hold up. Stick with me. It's not what you think at all. This one comes from Tom Likes Guitar. It says, I don't really know how to explain it, but somewhere around the 300-hour mark.
300 hours and then spend 200 more hours. I don't... How do these people even exist?
I really lost interest and realized there wasn't much else to the game. And I feel like ever since then, I was just playing to see if the game had anything else to offer. Things that...
You know what I've wondered about people who can play this game for so long? Do they not understand that there's nothing on planets except a pirate base? Hellhopter. I must put my hand in the sky even if I don't see the sky, because that's what men do. Hey, it's true, you know it. In any case, my headphones are also slipping off my head because it's such a beautiful head. In any case, where was I? Oh yeah. How do these people not figure things out? That every planet you visit except for a couple of handcrafted locations is the same garbage. How did they not figure out that these cities feel empty and absolutely lifeless? How did they not figure out that the dialogue in the game is just sad and bad? There is no roleplay. That exploration is just a giant waste of time. That you want to fast travel so you don't actually have to experience what the game offers you because everything it offers you is bad. How do you go into a cave, then 2 more caves, and not figure out, wait a minute, this third cave is exactly almost the same as the first cave, that is just a bunch of tiles. How do you not notice that the random locations that you see on other planets are usually the same location you saw 2 planets ago? How do people not notice this? How? How is it possible?
They could have added to make me enjoy the game more. More content on every planet, but also less planets. But also make the galaxy far bigger. Also make sure that it can fly between planets, but make it not boring, but also realistic. Also make it so I can fly my ship with mechanics.
Okay, I understand how this guy played for $500. He's an absolute inbred. Oh my god. You can, okay, where is it? I can fly between planets but make it not boring, but also realistic. You have to choose one. Realism and it's boring, or it's not boring and there's no realism. There's no real choices between that, you know? But what's the chances that Bethesda will add this, considering they... Listen, you know what's the saddest thing about Starfield? It's the fact that elevators exist, okay? In Fallout 4, when you were in an elevator and you clicked the button, it actually was a loading screen. But it didn't feel like a loading screen because you were in an elevator, you could move and do shit, right? But here they decided to just add the loading screen instead of the elevator moving.
As good as games that are solely about flying my ship. Make it so every conversation has infinite number of ways to respond, and every line of dialogue is well written and perfectly voiced by Oscar winners. The game desperately needs mechs and also Dark Souls combat. Also,
you know, also what's the crazy part here? At first I thought that, you know, people were joking about, you know, that these were joke posts on Reddit. You know, someone was just making fun of the Redditors because, you know, people on Reddit on average are super stupid. You know, it's it's like that Reddit where it was supposed to be intellectual discussions, and one person who had a bunch of rewards there, you know, a bunch of achievements, never even liked him, went to do an IQ test, and it turns out he was almost borderline mentally deficient. He was like 2 IQ points away from being considered mentally deficient. Oh, so every time I see something like this, I'm like, maybe these people are trying to just make fun of Redditors because this sounds stupid, right? This just sounds this sounds something like an NPC would write. You know, ChatGPT would do a better job than this. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, this guy must be trolling. This guy must be trying to make fun of them, right? But no, it seems like that's not true. You know that guy who purchased an Xbox X just for Starfield? Yeah, I think those are actually real. I think these are sadly real.
where are all the dragons? I just expect so much better from Bethesda.
I mean, honestly, that's a good point. You are the Dragonborn, but there's no dragons? What the fuck, Bethesda?
Don't already know, he's being very sarcastic here, of course. But I thought it was a great point, you know, how, like, I see a lot of people saying, you know, this game is so boring, I just can't play any more of it. Yet they're registering around, like, 150 hours in the game. Don't get me wrong, you can critique the game after 150 hours, but come on, I feel like the game is a success if it's...
You can critique the game after 20 minutes, considering how bad the intro is.
Pulling you in for that amount of time. I mean, yeah. That's saying a lot. Now, also, we have this one right here as well. You guys are skipping content in your whiny posts are annoying. 2,500 upvotes, and it says, I'm on this sub a lot and sort by new, and let me tell you all something, many of you are skipping major parts of the game and then complaining about lack of content or poor performance when you leave your PC, Xbox on all day. Yeah, now the performance issue, I do feel like I am going to stop there. I do feel like that is legit. Like, there are people that are struggling with the performance. I will say this, that they need to continue with the updates in that regard for Starfield for sure. It's running great on my PC, but some people might be struggling. I feel like it could be running even better on my PC as well. Now it says every 30 minutes there's a new post about someone bragging about how many hours they have on the game, only to say it's boring or complain that the game is unfinished. While the game does have its faults and feels unfinished in many ways, the game as it stands today is a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. You say that as if
Starfield is a 3 or 4 out of 10. At the start, I thought it's maybe a 7, at best day 6. Then, as time progressed, it was a 5, and now it's a 3 or 4. Now, because it's not even a half-baked decent game, honestly.
if it's a bad thing. So here's my overview of where I stand, coming from someone who enjoys every aspect of the game, and I'm looking forward to Bethesda Game Studios fixing all the issues that most of us agree need fixing. Been playing since the official release on Xbox, currently at 90 hours, level 31. I have not done a single quest line or major quest except Horizon, and I'm only about halfway through it. I haven't touched a single temple. I only know they exist because some of y'all insist on putting spoilers in your title. Now, the majority of my time is spent surveying planets or completing missions or activities. I have not been to a single...
If you're a Starfield enjoyer, now that's one thing. But surveying planets and enjoying that, you must be insane. Surveying planets is probably the most dumbest thing in Starfield.
Single level 30 system, and I haven't been all the systems below level 30, so still a lot to explore. I spend a lot of time doing outposts and shipbuilding. Sometimes I'll spend an hour on a ship and say, screw it, just delete it and do something else. I'm not creative in the slightest, so my ships usually suck. I'm here to argue with you guys, or we can complain together about the crap that doesn't work. Use this to compare where you stand in your playthrough. Some of you all are rushing through the game and don't even realize how much you're skipping. You're welcome to play how you want, but don't skip half the game, then complain it's short or incomplete. Yes, stuff feels unfinished, but it's plenty of content for now. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting discussion for sure. I have seen some of the Steam reviews, recent negative downvotes of the game. It's interesting to see how much time is actually being registered by these people that are kind of like giving up the game. We're talking about like only 20 or so hours, and then completely judging the game. Now, again, like we said in the post here, there's stuff that definitely needs to be improved, but what's here right now for me personally is just great. And I wanted to highlight some of that greatness. As you can see right here, check it out. It says, I figured I can increase the time speed, and this happened. Thank you, Bethesda. This is beautiful. It shows how the planet is orbiting, the planet that you are on.
What do you mean? You can literally see that this is not even round. You can see the pixels
on here, as you can see, and how the stars are moving across the sky. Absolutely stunning. This one was posted by Dr. Bishop 19.
By the way, I hate posts like that because now there's cops outside. Jesus, I absolutely hate when people are posting stuff like this. Even a single person indie development game with $5 in the budget is gonna make you a good looking space screen. Good looking space screens are the easiest thing to ever do. So the fact that Starfield doesn't even do that most of the time properly, that's kind of boring and unimpressive most of the times, is actually very fucking sad. Because there is nothing more easy than creating a good-looking space screen, whatever you want to call it. You get the point. I have not seen games that fail at doing that when they try. I have not seen games fail at it. It's that easy. So saying, oh, this doesn't look like ass is not really good. It just means that Starfield somehow managed to do the absolute bare minimum.
'03, I believe. So yeah, I just think that there's some beauty in this game that's kind of ignored. And yeah, you could tell that there was a lot of love and passion put into Starfield, no doubt. To act like there wasn't is just something else.
No,
now,
there wasn't.
when you talk about what Bethesda can realistically do with the game going forward in terms of DLC to improve it, check it out. It says, the number one thing Bethesda can realistically improve through DLC is the procedurally placed points of interest. One comes from, I don't know how to say this name, Explorate. And they say the exploration complaints have been stressed to death already, but I'm posting this because Bethesda keeps asking for feedback, so here is mine. There are reports of around 30 individual point of interest existing in the game's pool of randomly placed locations. In my opinion, this is a ridiculously low number for a game this size, but really almost any realistic number in this case can become a problem when you're at the mercy of RNG. What I am proposing is bumping that number to at least 80 to 100 locations, plus a system that ensures there's no chance for the player to keep discovering the same locations back to back.
Are you kidding me? That sounds like work. But this is not gonna do that. They were too lazy to copy paste the looting and inventory from Fallout 4. And you think they're gonna legitimately take now time and design new things? Bruh, you're insane.
To this, I would suggest more unmarked locations and random encounters to spruce things up a bit in between the marked points.
The more random encounters is bad because the wildlife is absolute ass and trash and boring, and the pirates are boring. And the unmarked locations sound stupid. Because the reality is that people will start running around planets hoping to encounter something cool and unmarked, and it's gonna be a disaster because there's not gonna be anything interesting.
Points of interest. Lastly, a vehicle or mount is sorely needed as well. Having to run at least 400 meters through largely barren terrain to find the same copy and pasted location is discouraging players from this part of the game, and it's especially aggravating for those who live under the impression this is the bulk of the game's content and decide to put it down altogether. Yeah, this needs to be addressed immediately, and it's such a shame it wasn't already in the game, but this exact post needs to be kind of like a mission statement for the point of interest for Bethesda on how they can improve it, because I thought this was like perfectly set. It covered basically all the complaints I have with exploration when it comes to like landing on a planet at an outpost and then trying to explore the exterior of that location.
By the way, I didn't say anything about this, but man, the grenades look so bad when they blow up. Honestly, it feels like it's a sparkly cracker or something like that.
So yeah, I really do think that take right there is well written. All right, so mentioning well written takes, we have your top comments. So let's get into those right now, shall we? So my most recent video was this one right here. Todd Howard responds, things get very interesting. So let's scroll on down here. Ooh, loaded. See what you guys had to say. It says, I'm
not gonna read, well, I'm not gonna stay through this. Anyway, wait, what do you mean, open world games? You don't have an outro screen? You absolute animal. How dare you? Yeah, he doesn't still. Wow. Anyway, that's open world games right here. Crazy fanboy content for Starfield. Admittedly, I love it because it's funny. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, this is Quizzer7. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.